Hi, my name is Helen. Welcome to my art room, where I would like to share with you what has inspired my images and creative writing. I've been on an exciting journey exploring archaeological sites, myths, and folklore, and this is an ancient history of art centered on women for people who are intrigued by transformatory tales and would like to translate them into modern myths to inspire the future. Hi, I'm Helen. So where on earth is Paradise Island? Some scientists say that when the ice rim sucked the oceans low, a cluster of our ancestors managed to swim or float off our continent of origin, Africa. It's tempting to picture their faces contemplating such a consequential crossing, their eyes aspiring with the nerve of astronauts over to that shoreline on the other side of a narrowed gulf, a gulf that meltwater would eventually render a wider sea. Perhaps being nomadic, they were undaunted, simply staying in the flow of the moment, ready to snap up lucky chances. And the prospect ahead was just part of their daily wanderings for food, other resources, and the occasional diverting spectacle. We should not underestimate their courage, though. Incidentally, the exit from Motherland was eastward, so their faces were set for repeated dawns of opportunity. A prescient direction then, for when the dusk smothered that last fading strip of the western sky, it would have driven them upward, seeking refuge in a weave of branches closer to the stars. And then, as our ancestors traversed bare plains, this drove them to create their own convenient blast of fire to ward off Dracula-toothed cats and other creatures with a taste for their flesh. These ancient people were unlikely to sleep for 8 hours at a stretch. The owls and then the larks amongst them would need to be alert to every sound, using their reflecting pools of memory to draw down daylit forms to fit movements emanating in the darkness. How different it might have felt for them if the exit from their originating homeland had been Westwood. Our kind has always known sooner or later there comes a leaving behind, a return, a gone west in the end for the broken and spent, a disappearing like the sun slipping beneath the horizon. We look back furtively to that mysterious space under the world. We are drawn to look. Where is it exactly? On a morning much later in time, a satyr named Silenus was found snoring off a hangover with his bottom flattening somebody's roses. Silenus was a folkloric man of the forest who had the ears and sometimes the tail and legs of a horse, and as he grew older he became fat, bald and thick-lipped with a squat nose, most probably as a result of being an all too enthusiastic participant in the drunken reveries of Dionysius, the god of the grape harvest. When doused with water, Silenus paid this no heed, being far more concerned that the angry owner of the ruined rose garden should pay attention to this strange tale he had to tell. They listened, and then started a rumour about a vortex located in the Western Ocean by the land of the Hyperboreans. Silenus described this vortex as impassable. However, he said beyond it lay a world of prosperous civilizations with long-lived people. At the time of the Hyperboreans, the most westerly isle on the edge of the known world was probably the British Isles. An expedition was even sent from ancient Greece to find this vortex, but they retired disappointed, although on the Apple Isles, on the edge of the Western Ocean, were found stone circles where strange energy fields were experienced. This excursion was not that unusual in those days, since a candidate for kingship in the time of the ancient Greeks had to venture to the farthest point west to find a garden, owned by nymphs called the Hesperides, and there overcome a serpent and take his gold. But the serpent was the king's own future as an oracular ghost, and it was a golden apple given to the king as a reward for carrying the sun disk of his reign, following in the example of a pharaoh that was the Greek king's passport to paradise. There is a long association in folklore for phantom islands, being the realm of fairy folk or the dead. Mystical places on the frontier of twilight that unexpectedly reveal themselves in mists and then vanish again without warning. In the West, it was believed if you were fortunate enough to reach such an island, you would access a paradisical place of flowers and fruit. However, the ancient Greeks believed in an underworld encircled by an animous river. There they envisioned a monochrome meadow dappled with solarized lilies, hiding deer ghosts, inexplicably hunted by Orion. For how would he kill or indeed eat such gazelle-like sprites? It is said Orion can hear dead humans, which he ignores, as their cries resemble the keening gibber of creatures that lap sustenance by night. Otherwise, Orion might direct new arrivals to follow the road that leads from the waving asphodel meadow to a place of judgment called a Rebus. There, parched ghosts find 2 pools to the left of Persephone's palace. One pool lies in wait under a white cypress. It will drink up memories, and those found unworthy will either be returned to sojourn amongst the immortal lilies, or worse, go on to the fields of punishment at Tartarus. As for those fortunate enough to be self-kindling spirits, nearby, under a white poplar, they find another memory pool. This is the entrance to the orchards of Elysium, a land of light and music, whose blithe denizens may elect to be reborn whenever they please, excepting when Persephone, goddess of regeneration, grows impatient to jumpstart spring and visit her mother, Demeter, goddess of agriculture. In order to do this, Persephone rustles up the happy energy of those in her orchards to assist her as she reassumes her earthly disguise. Sometimes mother and daughter meet at the land of the Hesperides and stay to drink mead until the apple branch tips green and pop white flowers. Those happy, diligent spirits that have returned to earth with Persephone and then gone back to Elysium 3 times, they reserve the right to retire from spring work and enter the Fortunate Isles nearby. Some place these isles in the Black Sea opposite the mouth of the Danube. Others favour another Welsh legend that foretells of a low door that may be found to open in a rock by a lake on New Year's morn. Then, for those tempted, this leads underground to a small island over in the centre of the lake. There, behind the trees, is a melodious garden with exquisite flowers and fruit, where visitors are welcomed but warned not to remove anything. It could be supposed this means fruit with blood-coloured juices like pomegranates or golden apples, maybe. You might wonder if this door is a covert ingress for trespassers, an interloper's loophole into paradise. Or are there those who are entitled to visit, who enter to retrieve what belongs to them, recondite information perhaps? Well, these ancient myths have inspired me to write a story about one such a mystical island. I'm thinking of one such place as being a gateway to a paradisical earth, a place we can return to if we can learn in a dead underworld how to take care of our near-perfect planet. Click in next time and I'll tell you about it.